Viewer discretion is advised. Your fave will be criticized.
That's Chris.
That's Jan.
Welcome to CCTV, the nonstop pop show.
Woo! And today we are discussing Jessica Jung's debut novel, Shine.
Shine, 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 shine. It has been 13 years since Jessica Jung has debuted in the industry. She debuted with a group called Girls' Generation, a 9-member group from Korea with the company SM Entertainment. This book release has come out at an interesting time because it is the anniversary of her departure from Girls' Generation. She actually left the group in September of 2014, so it's been quite a while since we've heard anything this personal from her. She's released some songs here and there, but this is probably the most in-depth we've ever gotten with the K-pop star. The reason she was kicked out or left the group is to focus on her solo endeavors, that being her fashion line Blanc and Eclair. Allegedly, there were some issues with her being more focused on the brand than on the brand of SNSD. So they let her go or she left, but everyone has parted ways. The audience for this book is her golden stars, her fans, and also the young A audience. Luckily for her, she was able to sign a 2-book deal with Simon and Schuster, and also a Netflix project is in the works for this. So it should be really interesting to see what happens next. But for now, we're going to be talking about the first part, Shine.
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 Well, so what were your expectations when you heard she was releasing a book?
Honestly, I was happy for her. It caused some controversy because a lot of Sowons, excuse me, are very, very protective of the girls, which is understandable. You have such an emotional stake in that group. But at the same time, she was part of the group. No matter what anyone says, she was there, you know? So I'm glad that she was able to have some type of catharsis like this, even if it is not so um, even though it's not an autobiographical work. But I'm happy that she was able to do this.
Yeah, I loved Girls' Generation. They were, they were one of the first pop group or K-pop groups that I knew about.
Right.
And so yeah, I was excited. I love K-pop. I love girl groups. I love drama. So I was like, all three of those things in a book sounds fun. So I was excited to read it.
Right. Was she your fave?
She was not my fave. She was not my fave. But yeah, I know I'm not the target audience for this book. I just wanted to get some entertainment out of it. So
true, same.
So yeah, let's talk about it. So there will be spoilers in this, just FYI. Yeah. So if you haven't read this, we're going to talk about the entire plot and everything we thought about it.
Exactly. This is a TLDR, really, honestly. This is a TLDR, yes. So you're welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, so the protagonist in the book, her name is Rachel. She has been training at DB Entertainment for 6 years, hoping to debut. She is originally from New York, and she doesn't really get along with the other trainees. There's a lot of rivalry. Her mom doesn't seem that supportive of her choice to train to be a K-pop star and not focus on college. Yeah. What do you think of Rachel and kind of her start in this book?
Rachel is all parts Jessica in the good and the bad ways. Jessica, when I was into Girls' Generation, I was strongly into them. When they were out, I liked Jessica the most. I liked the American line anyway. I like Tiffany and Jessica, but I just like Jessica because she seemed mysterious. But it seems that her characteristics of being the quote unquote ice princess does not translate very well into a book. I think I remember taking notes, and by chapter 2, I recall saying Rachel is a stick in the mud. She is so remarkably mediocre.
Yes.
Yeah,
You can't get more basic than Rachel, I think. No real interests, just kind of your everyday girl. The development isn't fully there. having read the book, now
Yes.
I still don't fully know who she is.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
I think there was some they kind of wanted to make her seem like the underdog in ways
Right.
because the other trainees didn't like her. Like she does get a lot of obstacles thrown her way that the other trainees don't have to deal with.
Right.
Um, but then she's also like going to this super bougie high school,
Right.
and then like she like I don't know, there's just like all these little things that just she's not the most likable person
Yeah. Yeah.
from the beginning, which is kind of
From the
interesting.
beginning, from the jump, like
Yeah, from the jump.
honestly, I think that's what the the biggest flaw with this character is that she is being portrayed as an underdog but has such great privilege.
Hmm.
She has no flaws as well. Nothing is wrong.
Yes.
Nothing
Yeah.
is wrong except that she cares too much about what she wants.
Yeah. Yeah. So a big part of the plot is kind of her rivalry with these trainees, and
Yes.
obviously that's a larger theme. But what did you think of it,
Oh my
just in
gosh.
the plot? Like, what do you think of how? What did you think of kind of everything that happens to her?
Can I tell you her character trait is what happens to her? Her being a victim, her being a victim is a character trait of
Oh,
hers.
interesting.
I
Hmm.
mean, the adversity she faces is typical of someone pursuing the kind of career that she wants, but also she puts herself in situations where I I really do question her logic often, especially when she's faced with issues with Mina Chu,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
main antagonist of the novel. She's
Yeah.
apparently chaebol, which is like you know like an heiress of some type of Samsung adjacent company.
Uh-huh.
Everything was
Uh-huh.
renamed very, very cleverly in this book.
Yeah.
But, this girl was constantly trying to sabotage Rachel. Just big Regina George energy.
Yes.
It seems like the only person that she was afraid of was the big bad dad. You know? And
Yes.
ah man, Rachel did not make the best decisions when it came to Mina. Gave her
Hmm.
chance after chance after chance.
Yeah, one of the first things that happens in one of the first couple chapters is Rachel goes to the trainee house thinking that they're having a training
Yeah.
session, and she's invited by Mina, but in actuality, it's a party, and Mina actually ends up drugging Rachel so that she oversleeps and misses a very important ceremony that happens at DB Entertainment the next day. I thought this storyline was kind of ridiculous, to be honest, because I don't know. I don't know. It's just I'm not convinced by any of this.
Me
What did you think
either.
of that plot point?
That bothers me. If someone's going to try to medically induce a stupor onto me, I'm not talking to this person. It's on site. On site.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It's just for me, Rachel was way too gullible. Someone literally drugged you. You know this happens.
yeah.
You continue to associate with this person. I mean, like I said, it's all out of necessity. Like instead of just developing a backbone, she just did it because she had to. She does everything out of obligation.
Mm. Well, on luckily for her though, on the way before she got drugged, she did run into Jason Lee, a super popular K-pop star
Yeah.
from the New Boys, another a big boy group from DB Entertainment. He, there's some chemistry there, and he walks her to the house.
I was gonna say, listen, chemistry. Chem-
Mhm.
Honestly, it was so tropey. That chemistry.
Yeah,
Excuse me. It was very tropey. It was just like cocky, arrogant guy meets the subtle, young, pleasant lady. And the
yeah.
thing that got me was that he smelled like maple and mint.
Yes, that was repeated like at least 5 times, I think.
Oh my
Maple and mint.
god! I can look. Let me look it up. Shoot, I'll can.
Yeah,
Let me look it up.
yeah. That's not really the smell I would want.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He says it literally 4 to 5 times. Maple and mint, minty maple scent.
Oh
Maple
my
and mint,
gosh.
warm cloud of maple and mint. I just think pancakes and toothpaste. Get the heck out of here with that maple and mint.
All right, before we get too into Jason, just to finish this kind of whole rivalry thing, like, yes, these other girls don't like her, partly because she's American, partly because she seems to get some favoritism from the trainers at this entertainment company. And while that, I feel like that does happen, I'm sure, in real life. Um, it just, because she kind of went so stereotypical mean girls with it, it was just very hard to root for her against these people,
Mhm.
I think.
Yeah, for sure.
um yeah, the other part, the other side to Rachel
Mm.
also that I mentioned was that her family isn't the most supportive of her dream to be a K-pop star.
Right, right.
Yeah, what did you think of that as kind of a big plot point?
I think it added a little bit more realistic tension. You know, because
Yeah.
with Mina, the rivalry started because a bad first impression of Rachel not bowing to her, but then it turned into jealousy of her being spoiled, but she actually is an heiress of a company. It was unnatural. At least with the
Yeah.
family, it's understandable. We had to uproot our lives in order to serve your dream, and you're still not debuting yet. Where is the result of all your hard work?
Yes.
Where is the result of our sacrifice? So I can understand how her mother was very, very not disappointed, but just she wanted better for her daughter, you know? So her
Hmm.
expectations were very high. The father was supportive, but again, even with the subplot of him studying law,
Uh-huh.
but then the mother not finding out but being upset that that was weird too. And then
I thought that whole storyline was ridiculous.
yeah,
Like, I didn't understand that at all.
and then the
Right.
sister. Oh my god, the sister. That girl,
The useless sister.
she's a water chestnut, that one. She
Like, excuse me, I like water chestnuts.
Me
But
too,
anyway,
but they take the flavor of everyone else around them. No personality, maybe a little crunch here and there. Like, oh,
yeah, I would like to think that Crystal
yeah,
is more interesting than Leah. Like, I hope that Crystal is more interesting, at least.
Leah. Oh god.
Yeah. So Rachel isn't the most multi-dimensional character I've ever met from one of these novels.
But neither are any of the other characters.
Right. Right.
Sorry, sorry, Jessica. I'm not just saying it just because, but even as you read it, there is no proper introduction into what they're interested in. Like, randomly, she brings up that Leah likes The Rock. Like,
Yes.
okay, what does that have to do with
Yeah.
anything? There's nothing.
Yeah, everything just felt a little underdeveloped for
Yeah,
sure.
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so moving on with the plot. So, back to Jason Lee. Eventually, Rachel, after some maneuvering on her end and manipulating on her end,
Yeah.
she manages to be able to feature on a song with Jason Lee
Right.
and and actually get to pre-debut,
Yes. Right.
and actually be out in public and go out and release and promote the song with this huge pop star Jason Lee, but
Yes.
also with Mina,
Mm,
the big rival.
mm.
Um, yeah. So, what did you think of this whole plot line?
It's usually how things work with K-pop, right? They try to kind of sneak someone in there in a music video or sneak someone in some
Yeah.
vocals. So that one seemed
Yeah.
natural.
Hmm.
I don't like how the situation came about. The whole our voices they match up so sorry, I can't even say it.
Yeah. It was like we were meant to sing
Together.
together. Yes.
Yes. And even when they were like going through
Hmm.
their turmoil, I know what you were thinking, that our voices sounded really good together. Like, it was just like, that can't be the
Yeah.
only thing that pulls you 2 together,
Yeah.
you know? So
Um, I mean, they already had chemistry when they met before that
right.
house. Um, I thought so. Basically, just to go back a little bit.
Mhm.
So during her audition to do this, she's sick because she was drugged the night before, and she ends up throwing up all over Jason's brand new Nike shoes
His
or whatever.
$400 shoes.
Um, but she still manages to debut with this song, despite Mina kind of already getting the opportunity
Right.
before that.
Because she plotted.
Yes. So yeah, I don't know. Rachel kind of. I mean, what this does show is that in the music industry, which is very true, you need connections and you need to go above and beyond to get what you want. You do what you need to do to get noticed in this industry. So I thought that whole plot line did make sense. It was good to see her become more aggressive and go for what she wants, I
Right,
think.
right. But it
Yeah.
also, for me, it made her kind of come across as almost not duplicitous because she was kind of um grappling with the idea of using Jason for clout, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
she was still doing it, but she was wondering, should I not do it? And she would do this constantly in the story. And it's a shame, but it's a result of what she's been through almost. She's
Right.
had to, she's played it nice, and now she has to change up her style. And this is a
Mm-hmm.
result of it. And she was getting results. So I can understand why she kept this kind of charade up for so long with him,
Right.
until she didn't have to.
Well, I think the whole kind of courtship, I don't know. Okay. So I think that they didn't do a great job of establishing Jason as a likable person either. I think his whole introduction, like you said, this cocky guy
Yeah.
who knows he's super good looking, who knows he's super popular, and knows he can pretty much get whatever he wants
Mm-hmm.
from anybody, the company, public, anyone. And he never really, that image never really changes.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's nothing about him that makes me want to support a relationship with him other than the fact that he's supposedly like the super hot like K-pop star. So it's like cool to like
Right.
be in a relationship with him,
Right.
like it's like, cuz like all these other girls are like dreaming they were with him, so like you
Right.
are the one that he wants and like sure. But like I was a little confused about how old he was as well because
Right.
she's still a teen, she's still in high school,
Right.
but
Right.
he's supposedly already this huge pop star. So I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so is he like an adult, like mid-20s guy, like
Right. Drinking
getting with
age,
this,
driving
yeah, like getting with
age.
this like young girl? I don't know. Like I just
You're right,
his
though.
whole yeah, I don't know. I'm not into Jason Lee. And and later on, what ends up happening is we find out that he was using her
Mm-hmm.
because he wanted to go solo from the New Boys.
Right.
And this single with Mina and Rachel was an opportunity from the company for him to start branching out to see if it would
Yes.
work. And
Mm-hmm.
so he ended up making sure that he was going out with both Rachel and Mina so that the paparazzi could take pictures
Yes.
and there'd be more publicity. So yeah, so he ended up being kind of big anyway.
Yep, a turd. And I literally wrote in the first or the second chapter when they met, I said,
Mhm.
he's going to use her. Literally, I put something about the way he's talking, the way he's speaking to
Mm,
her. I'm not fond of it at all. And then what
yeah.
really got me was when they were getting ready to kiss for the first time, and he says,
Mhm.
"What are you so afraid of?" Her career.
Losing her entire career. Yeah.
Yeah, he
We'll
was.
we'll get into all the sexism stuff in a minute. Literally, the only other plot point in this whole book
Oh, right.
happens in the last two chapters. Happens in the last two chapters. When this song with Jason was super successful. So then
Right.
now Rachel and Mina both get the opportunity to debut in a 9-person girl group called Girls
Yay.
Forever.
Clever.
They then skip forward an entire year of after she finds out they're in this girl group, and we get kind of the backstage moment before their debut performance as a girl group.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what did you think of that coming in right at the end?
Is going to set up for a sequel, and because that
Yeah.
happened, the story came across as choppy. So
Mm-hmm.
the whole year gap and the whole just magically we're here. We're getting ready to
Yeah. Now
debut.
I'm in a girl group. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, second book is coming. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
honestly, to be honest, I feel slightly cheated.
Yeah.
Just because the first chapter makes her sound like she's in a girl group already, but then we find out it's just like a
Yeah.
training session. And then
Yeah.
in the very end, she finally gets in this girl group with a bunch of girls that she didn't get along with. We miss all the training in between when surely she's bonded with at least one of those
One
girls.
person.
Like, really?
Yes. There's
There's
still
no
tension.
way that there's that much tension still after, because when they're training together, it's going to be every day, like surely she's going to have to leave school by then if you're going to debut, right? Like,
Right.
you're going to have to homeschool, like, you're going to be with these girls, you have to gain the chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
in the
Exact.
backstage moment, it's like nothing's changed. Like all
Right.
these girls are still, you know, and so I hate that we missed that whole year. I don't believe for a second that someone wouldn't come in and try to improve the dynamic between these 9 girls that are about to be
Right.
a girl group for 7+ years or
Right.
whatever. And then she's just like, and there's just no, I mean, I get that it's not the reality, but you'd like to think that there is some teamwork going on because, but then all she says in the end is literally, I step to my center position as the lead singer of this girl group.
Yes.
I'm gonna shine.
Yeah.
It's my time.
And
And
it,
it's like, okay, like you're in a girl
that was
group.
perfect. That, no, you're serious. That was the absolutely perfect. The way she ended it is the way people perceive Rachel to be selfish and self-centered.
Yes. Yes.
And now that she literally is center, it's, oh man, you're so right. She could have even made like a quick one paragraph, me and Mina are still not getting along, la 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 la. She did this, but I ignore her.
Yeah.
But there is one person. There is this one person that I care
Yeah.
about.
I hope that I would hope that Jessica, I obviously she's not in Girl Generation now, but
Mhm.
like I hope that she doesn't paint. I hope the next book isn't her painting this whole thing as in she's alone. I know this isn't autobiographical, but
No, no,
like
I
I
know what you
really
mean.
hope
Yes. Yes.
there's some semblance of teamwork,
Yeah. None
um
of the sob story of I'm alone. I do everything alone. Now you're not alone. Are you choosing this?
right. And then the whole like I'm the lead singer, I'm the most
Yeah.
talented, or yeah,
Mhm.
like that's not the attitude I want to support. So
Exactly.
yeah. So really those are the only plot points. Like everything else that happens in this book is fluff that kind of just happens a couple
Yeah.
sentences just to
Yeah.
remind you that there are other people in the world, and then it
Yes.
kind of just goes away. So
Yeah.
yeah, we've pretty much mentioned everyone already. The only person we haven't really mentioned is Tang Gina.
We gotta talk about her for sure.
So let's talk about just the central themes of that kind of occur in the book.
Yeah, of course.
Um, yeah, so one of the main ones that is brought up is sexism
Yeah.
in the music industry.
Mhm.
One of the first things that happens to her is while she's promoting the song with Jason and Mina, her and Mina get weighed.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of mean comments that are said by the trainers. So what did you think of all the sexism that was portrayed in this book?
It was tough. It wasn't even just the weigh in that bothered me.
Mhm.
It was the subtle mention of Jason coming in late to a rehearsal for the subunit,
Mhm.
with fast food while the girls are stressing about eating. Like 1 pound over from a week prior is enough to get reported and enough to have your
Yeah.
your career threatened. Like,
Mhm.
it blows my mind that this happens, but it's a fact. I mean, it's commonplace in K-pop. It really is, and I don't know what it will take for it to change, because if a trainee says, "Well, I don't have to lose weight," there's going to be another trainee right there to take that girl's spot, take that guy's spot.
Yeah.
So it's
Mhm.
like, do you comply or do you rebel? And most of them comply because, of course, they want it to debut. Of course, they want to make it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'm really glad that Jessica put so much about that in there,
yeah,
because I've definitely listened to interviews. Like I know Amber has talked a lot about
right,
Amber from FX. I know she's talked a lot about her experience with this.
yes,
Um, but yeah, it's kind of interesting because um, definitely women are put through way more judgment than
yeah,
men are.
yes.
Um, the men, I mean, I think you rarely hear about men having to watch what they eat and stuff. Like if
Mhm.
they do, it's by their own choice because they've decided they want to take their shirt off at the next tour or
That's
something.
hilarious. No, you're right. You're right.
But then
Actually, yeah.
otherwise, they're just like eating whatever, like,
Right.
and
Yes.
then there was a mention of, forced plastic surgery,
Mhm.
some trainees being kicked off because they wouldn't do plastic surgery, or like there was botched plastic surgery.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
and so yeah, it was quite disturbing to read. I'm really glad that it was in there.
Mhm.
And hopefully it opens some people's eyes about it that didn't know as much about it
For
before.
sure. And it's also not just with the industry, with the general public. And one of the chapters, when they go to when they being Jason and Rachel go to Latte World on a
Mhm.
date, they run into these
Mhm.
two girls who, while watching the video, unbeknownst to them, the couple is watching with them.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
they say that Mina and Rachel are slutty, but praise
Yeah.
Daniel for being so sexy and so handsome. And they compare,
Jason.
yeah, Jason, my
You
butt.
call him Daniel.
What? Oh,
It's fine. Keep going.
who's Daniel?
Exactly.
Who's Daniel? Sorry. Anyway, so you have these two girls calling Rachel and Mina
Mina.
slutty,
Yeah.
and
And they're too ugly
Jason's a
for
hot
him.
one.
And
Yeah, they're
yeah.
too ugly, and they
Hmm.
and they compare Mina's leg to daikon radishes.
Yes.
I,
Hmm.
that blew my mind because I'm thinking to myself, oh, I mean, getting critiqued like that, not even critiqued, but getting insulted or having haters in the comments are normal, but it's just why go to that extreme? It should have brought a little bit more tension between Jason and Rachel, but instead, it was so confusing. Like, Rachel's upset about it, but Jason is like, I don't see the problem.
Yeah, I think I understand that they wanted an opportunity for Rachel to more explicitly explain kind of to someone like all the stuff she's going through. I
Yeah.
did not like that they had Jason just be super super dumb and not
Yeah.
notice that
Yeah.
yeah, that she was being treated differently. I did not like that that was the method they used.
It's mildly
Um
gaslighty. He was like, what are you talking about? There's nothing wrong with
yeah.
that. There's nothing
Yeah.
wrong with what? Oh, dude. So lame. So lame.
The other side of the sexism was with Kang Jina, who we
Mm-hmm.
were mentioning. She basically warns. So Rachel sees her with a man, and and Kang Jina, she warns Rachel that having a boyfriend is not only an inconvenience, but it's actually a danger to her career.
Yes.
Um, and this is part of the worry that she expresses to Jason. But Jason is like, "Don't worry, like they're just saying that like nothing bad is going to happen to you if they find out that we're together."
Right.
Um, but that's only to him. Like
Yes.
his career wouldn't be ruined, but Kang Jina ends up getting kicked out of her girl group. Um, yeah.
So yeah, based off of her dating scandal, I don't know, something about Kang Gina reminds me a little bit of um Sully, in the sense of like she
Mm,
left the group, but she wanted to leave.
yeah.
Um I'm not sure what's going to happen to her in the next part of the story, but the spiraling the life spiraling out of control and getting drunk in public situation that
Yeah.
occurred later in the story. Something about that is a little bit foreshadowy to me. So I really want to
Mm.
see what happens with her for sure.
So another big theme in this book was just rivalry in general.
Yeah.
Rivalry within the company, between trainees, between girl group members.
Yep.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
did you think of all of the rivalry that was portrayed?
I think a lot of it is like, is it forged by the companies? Yes, but it's also maintained by the trainees and the members. Not
Mhm.
at any point, there's no point in this book did anybody ever really try to speak to Rachel and ask
Yeah.
her and see her point of view. And she didn't really do that with the other ladies. Maybe there
Yeah.
was this one point due to some unfortunate circumstance, her and Mina had a little heart to heart about their troubles, but even then it was about their problems outside of each other, not why don't you like me,
Yeah.
what's your deal, it wasn't,
Hmm.
no one confronted the issue head on, and that was my biggest thing
Yeah.
you know
I think yeah. I think I love pop groups.
yeah.
Like you guys will know as we keep making videos that
Yeah.
I love every pop group like pretty much ever that ever existed. And so I as a fan, as
Hmm.
a our fantasy is that these groups are all best
Right,
friends.
and the chemistry's there, and
Yeah, and that they all love each other and they support each other and they don't care if one of them gets to sing lead and they don't care if that
yeah,
one gets
yeah.
this solo opportunity. They are supportive of their group members.
Right.
Of course, that's not the reality, right?
Right.
Most groups, a lot of them break up because they don't get along and there's often a lot of drama with who gets to sing lead and who
Yes.
gets to dance lead and
Yes.
who gets to this opportunity or whatever. And I think it's natural to have rivalry in any group, right?
Yeah, of course.
Especially if you're the thing is with the way these agencies are built, it's a competition, and then suddenly you get put in a group with these people, and it's no long and it shouldn't really be a competition anymore, right? Like you should
Right.
be a team now.
Right, but they're so
But then
conditioned.
right, they're
Ugh.
conditioned to stand out. Like I was watching the latest Mnet Island, like that big hits boy band competition show, and I was saying the same thing. I was like, these boys are being ranked
Mhm.
and trying to outdo each other,
Yes.
but at the same time are trying to forge a bond together because they know that the majority of them are going to be in a group together
Right.
eventually. So
Right.
that dynamic is so weird, and especially for these young kids to be trying to just to maintain your mental health just through that is crazy. And so what I think what this shows and what I've learned, because a lot of my favorite pop groups from like the 2000s and stuff have since reunited, and
Mhm.
I think the biggest lesson is you need to have open communication,
Yes.
and you need someone to watch out for your mental health. Like you need to have someone watching. If two team members aren't getting along, someone needs to quash that. And this just proves that too,
Mhm.
what happened in this book. And so I think it was very realistic, you know, to
Mhm.
have these rivalries between these trainees. I like I said, I hope Jessica didn't experience had some good moments, you know, with
Yeah,
the
some
rest of
yeah, at
Girls'
least.
Generation.
At least.
Um, but there should be some, like you said, a push and pull between teamwork and also like what's best for you. Um, and so I hope that dynamic kind of comes through more as we see her in the group.
For sure.
Um,
For sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and that also ties into the other theme, which contradicts the 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 concept that we're talking about, maybe teamwork should be more
Mm,
important, is that
mm,
belonging and standing out. She was thinking
mm,
shine. The story is literally, the book is called Shine, and she wants to shine.
mhm.
But how do you shine in a group without making people feel bad? I noticed that in the book, she mentioned that being Asian was almost like a, not, what's the word for it? It filed her into a category of just unremarkable. It filed her in a category of just like everyone else.
Yeah.
She mentioned that while she was, Rachel. She mentioned that
Yeah.
while she was in elementary school, she suffered an injury, a little small injury from a bee sting, and another Asian child's mother was called.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That kind of added a little bit more depth to Rachel. This is why you want to debut. You want to be seen, and that almost made her likable there. I was like, wow,
Yeah,
that's deep.
I think actually, yeah, what I most related to
Mhm.
was this kind of cultural issue
Mm.
that both her and Jason kind of spoke about a lot,
Mm.
being an Asian American, um, and not feeling like you totally belong in America or Canada
Mhm.
in Jason's case, but then also going to like Korea and and then not
Yeah.
feeling like she belonged there. Like I had a very similar
Mm.
experience growing up. Um, and so I liked
Mhm.
that dynamic. I think that's a very realistic
Mm.
experience for people.
Yes.
Um, but I don't know. I just don't know. There's still just something about it that just felt very forced the way it was written.
Right.
Like it just didn't feel too authentic. Like yeah. But I get what she was going for.
Exactly. I understand it, and that's what kind of made her Rachel's. When I say her, that's what made her
Yeah.
more, I guess, relatable. Because up until
Yeah.
this point, what can I relate to? You went to a, I mean, I went to a private school as well, but I wasn't oblivious to my privilege. She seems
Yeah.
absolutely just like, yeah, I go to this really nice school, but it's really hard for me because my family, everything was yeah, but for her.
Right. There didn't seem to be any of her trying to understand the point of view of the other trainees of what she looked like, of what it does look like. It does not look great, you know, that you
Yeah.
get to go to this bougie school when the others don't.
Yes.
Um and so yeah, it I don't know. I think that aspect could have been dealt with better, but I
Yeah.
appreciate her talking about that experience.
Mhm.
Yeah.
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 with all that being said, once you get past the issue of the sexism, and you get past, or maybe you figure out how to deal with the rivalries, and you debut, that's another theme. Like, the bittersweet quality of the industry. Like, yeah, I'm a star. I'm
Mm.
amazing now. Like, I made my point to make it into this group. I'm in this group. What now?
Mm-hmm.
So I
Yeah.
think um it's really interesting how far she was willing to go, how far she went. And when she got it, I felt like there was no great deal of excitement, or am I mistaken? I feel like she wasn't exactly like, yes, I'm so
Yeah.
happy I made it. Just more like, I'm in the middle now. I'm going to show them that I deserve to be here. This
Yeah.
debut wasn't even a happy moment for her, so she couldn't really.
Yeah, well, yeah, one thing that stood out to me when when Rachel was on the promo trip with Jason and Mina, she had a moment where she said something like where she felt she was being she was just like, this is the K-pop like way. Like she was just
Yeah,
being forced to just do everything despite her being super tired, and she was just like, I'm not excited by any of this because I'm just like
right.
being forced to do it.
Just jaded.
Um which I think is unfortunately the experience of a lot of K-pop stars,
Yes.
because their schedules are just absolutely insane, and they really don't have any choice in what they do. It's kind of just like, okay, you're performing on this show, then you're performing on this show, and then
Yeah.
you're going to film this variety show, and then you're going to film this interview, and then you have to do this photo shoot, and then you have another performance. Like,
Right.
and it's just constant. They don't get days off, right? You hear about these people not getting to see their families for years.
But that's the thing. Once you debut, you have to maintain that star quality. You
Yeah.
have to keep that light on at all times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
I think, and also just the most tea that was really spilt in this book was just some revelation of some of the training practices.
Yes.
She talks about how these kids would have to fight to book rooms, to train, and they would literally train till they literally can't get up.
Yeah.
She talked about some girl like doing a squat like against the wall
Yes.
and singing while someone was like punching her stomach.
Right.
So it's crazy what these people go through.
Yeah. Yes. And it's very
And
abusive. I
so,
don't know why it's accepted,
mm,
honestly. I'm not sure if you heard about it, but there was a girl group, Fanatics. There was an
mm,
issue where the cameraman, who was alleged to be the CEO, slapped one of the members because she was
yes,
trying to
I saw
cover
that.
other members' legs.
Yes, I
Because
saw that.
but apparently he has a habit of, when they're doing V lives or type of streaming, he films their legs constantly. They're wearing
Yeah.
skirts, there's no problem. Let's lower the camera. So between the exploitation and the physical abuse, a lot of these companies get away with mild torture of sorts.
There's a lot of sketchy stuff that happens.
Yeah.
I this isn't the Korean industry, but I know some people in like the Chinese, like the
Hmm.
Canto pop industry. And I've definitely heard some stories of things that some of these artists are forced to do.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, it's kind of scary. And we've seen glimpses of all the drama, all the crazy stuff that
Right.
happens.
Right.
But
But
a lot of it is still very secret.
yes, for
And
sure.
it's kind of scary. Like I was even listening to I forget, one of the boys members was on Eric Nam's podcast
Was
show,
it Kevin or
and
Eric?
I don't remember which
Ah.
one it was. But he even mentioned, he was like, "Good thing I didn't go to a sketchy K-pop company. Like mine's a legit one." Like I was like, "Oh," I was like, "Oh, that."
Yikes. But it's true.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah.
I think what's interesting about this whole the seedy underbelly of
Oh,
the K-pop industry is that this kind of formula was frowned upon in like the 90s here in America. Oh, Britney Spears is too crafted. Oh, NSYNC, they're too
yeah.
but yet the foreign fans accept this kind of creation and curation of these
Mhm.
groups without a second thought. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Oh my gosh, she's so pretty. yes, they are, and they're very talented. But do not forget that they have probably gone through these kind of things, and by accepting it and not saying anything, we are reinforcing and allowing that to happen. We're reinforcing it. The fans are trying more now to say, "Don't do that, boycott, fire this
Yeah.
person." They really are trying, but
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to take to change that.
Well, unfortunately, the K-pop industry is just getting bigger and bigger, and
For sure.
obviously, what they've been doing is working. So it has a long way to go, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so the other side of the bittersweet industry, though, is that's mentioned in the book is the not being able to be your authentic self. So
Yeah.
like Jason, one of his reasons for wanting to go solo is because he's been writing music and it's not right for the group.
Yes.
And the only way he will be able to express himself, his real self, is to go solo. But then he has to go through this whole exercise to like, release a solo song. So what do
Yes.
you think about that aspect of the industry and how it was portrayed in this book?
That is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Like we discussed in our Blackpink review, they don't get a chance to write, and it's like you have someone who can play the guitar who probably has songwritten before,
Hmm.
songwritten have wrote songs before. Rose can write songs. She can do that, but you don't give her the opportunity, especially in girl groups. You don't see it done very often where the girls have a hand in anything.
Yeah.
It's a little bit more prominent in guy groups. You can see them like with 17, they are a self-produced group. That is their biggest selling point is that they do everything themselves. They choreograph
Mhm.
themselves. They have a hand in everything, and I
Yeah.
think that is K-pop's biggest flaw in comparison to American soloists, American groups, even just not even American, just Western pop.
Yeah.
There's
Mhm.
more artistic integrity, more artistic freedom. And I'm not saying that the K-pop idols don't want to do this, but it's just different, and that I think is their biggest flaw. And I wish they would allow the idols to write more and contribute more for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. Having worked at a record label now, I've seen artists be forced to release songs that they don't want to.
Right.
Um, and it is just kind of it is an interesting line, right? You mentioned Britney, and in kind of that whole era,
Hmm.
she didn't write any of those songs in the beginning. Like she said, now she doesn't like some of those songs, that she
Right.
did. Um, but it made her who she is, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like this weird line of you're trusting this company
Yes.
to do what's best for your career and get you up there, but then there's a what you then have to then maintain is you also want to keep them happy, right? So
Yeah.
it's like you have to start giving them some creative freedom and start, letting them explore that part of themselves
For
once
sure.
they do get to a point, to a bigger point. So it definitely is a fine line. I understand it from a business point of view.
Yeah.
Why you can't just, have your art, because what if they write a super crap song, like you do need
Yeah.
to bring experts in
Yes.
to flesh, to give them better material. But
For
yeah,
sure.
it definitely is a fine line between kind of having an artist develop their own skills versus kind
Yeah.
of making them the most successful they can be.
Yes.
But yeah, it's good. I want some fans who maybe don't know as much about the industry, maybe their eyes will be opened by this book. It's good
Yeah.
that Jessica is kind of putting this out
Yes.
as unfiltered as she can without,
Right.
a lawsuit.
Yes. Defamation is sure,
Yeah.
don't want to do that. But but yeah, I think overall, um, she was able to at least have Rachel go through all of these things, even though it felt a little PowerPointy and not,
Mhm.
like a fully realized story with proper.
Arc.
Yeah, yeah, like I said, it was a little PowerPointish at points,
Yeah.
but she was able to work in the true main theme, the true just idea, which is to shine, which is to follow your dreams, which is to
Yeah.
persevere through whatever adversity is thrown in your way. So I do
Yeah.
respect that part of it. She was able to kind of wrap it all up in a very shiny golden bow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think like we were saying, Rachel wasn't the most likable
Right.
main character, but like we said, this industry is kind of shady. So
Yeah.
like you do what you need to do to get there, and
Yeah.
then let's see how she does. She's now officially debuted. So I'm, you know,
Yeah.
let's see what happens next,
It's
right?
for sure. Exactly. So
Yeah.
what do you think overall about this book? I think we kind of touched on how we feel, but
Yeah.
anything
Um
else you think you might add?
I think okay, so I think overall, like we've been saying, it wasn't the most fleshed out book. Like the whole plot was very predictable. There's
Yeah.
no like crazy plot twists, no gasps came from me. It was more just kind of eye rolls. But at the end of the day, I'm also not the
Target
target
audience.
audience,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so honestly, let's just it only took me 2 days to read this thing or 2 or 3 days to read this thing.
Right.
Like
Right.
as a K-pop fan, as a fan of SNSD, as as a person who works in the music industry,
Mhm.
I had fun. Like it
Oh
was an
yeah.
enjoy, like it was an easy read. It,
Indeed.
I wish, you know, I wish there was some more juiciness in it. Hopefully that
Mm.
comes with the next one.
Right.
Because I feel like any casual K-pop fan who has at least listened to a couple interviews from people could probably
Yeah.
rewrite this. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
like any like crazy, anything was revealed about the industry. So I wish there was a little bit more of that.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, I had fun.
Yeah,
What did you
it
think?
was fun. Like I said, there was certain parts of this book, like I like cheese and romance sometimes, so I
Yeah.
appreciate some of the cheese, but it was a little bit
Yeah.
predictable.
Mhm.
Not bad for a first little effort, but like I said, it is just undoubtedly mm, mediocre, like
Yeah.
fantastically mediocre. Um, so it has potential.
Hmm.
Um, to get better, I believe. I feel like
Yeah.
now that she can really, now that everything is out, she can get the
Hmm.
feedback that she needs to properly develop the story.
Yes.
And I'm excited to see what she does with a lot of the open ended issues that were left at the end of the book. So,
Hmm.
not only did she debut, but who are these girls?
Yep.
Your father's offered a job. What will happen with that job? Your sister, the water chestnut, is gullible and
Has doesn't seem to have any dreams of her own either. Like she's just like, oh, well, I guess I'm at the age to debut at a K-pop star. I guess I guess I
yeah,
should like join it too. Like,
right.
okay,
What
yeah,
trouble will she get into with Mina
hmm,
or as a trainee?
right,
So I want to see what happens. I want to know what happened to the Japanese friend. That poor girl.
yeah,
She's like, I was here
yeah.
for like 2 seconds. Bye, y'all. Like it's just like,
Yeah. And I'm sure we're gonna get a love
oh
triangle. There's
yeah,
gonna be some new boy. Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
Jason gotta say bye bye, Jason. But watch her end up picking
yeah.
Jason. Watch her. Watch it.
I have to say though, like you mentioned in the beginning, there is a TV show or movie adaptation in process in development.
Yeah,
I almost think this will work better as that.
it's a series. Yeah,
Um,
I think
yeah,
so.
rather than a book series. So I'm excited. I mean, I
Yeah.
am all for Asian representation on mainstream Western TV.
Hmm.
Um, so I'm excited to see what they do with it. Hopefully the songs are good.
Yes.
And they get some cool, really good talent.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, me too. I hope she gets a chance to really see kind of just exploit this in every avenue that she can possibly
Yeah.
music, movie,
Hmm.
whatever she needs to do. I hope she gets every last drop of success from it and every last cent that she can get because like I said in the
Yeah. I mean,
beginning, she's been here,
yeah.
so let her get her flowers now.
Yeah. I mean, the book seems to be doing well, from what I've seen. So yeah, good job, Jessica. Like, let's see what you got next. You can only go, it's your first book,
Yeah, if you're at
so
rock bottom, can only go up from here.
no, yeah, like, it's a skill. Like she'll improve, I'm sure.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm curious enough to kind of keep going in the series
for
for sure.
sure.
Let's see
Yeah.
what happens to Rachel next.
Okay, Rachel. Okay, Jessica.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, let us know what your thoughts are in the comments below. If you're a K-pop fan, did you find anything about this to be shocking, or was it pretty much what you expected? And if you're not a K-pop fan, were you enlightened to the culture of the K-pop industry or not?
Yeah.
Let us know down in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, that's Chris.
That's Shan.
And we are CCTV. Bye.
Bye.